Hey Jennifer, I'm waiting for it to tell me that I'm live in the event and not on my personal page. Um, okay, there I am. Okay, that always gets a little bit nerve-wracking. Okay, it is already 8:01, so I am going to go ahead and get started. Hello. Thank you guys for joining me. I know it's a holiday, but I wanted to make sure I got this information out to you now so that you could add some of these oils and things, if you don't already have them, to your orders before, just in case for preparation that they don't go out of stock. Sometimes things do go out of stock when we're heading in towards, seasons like the fall and the winter, and even, when we come back around to spring. There's some key supplements and oils that do tend to go out of stock. Hello. So we're going to go over a bit of some of my favorite things that, this isn't going to be too long since I know that you guys are, hopefully y'all had a wonderful day. So here we go. So thieves, I'm sure that's on everybody's list. I pretty much make sure that I have a couple of bottles of that throughout, that I order before fall and winter season. Mainly because I have 6 children, and so we use this all the time. Now, I know some of you may have heard this concept a lot, especially if you've used the oils for a while. But our biggest resource and way to stay well is on the prevention side. So if we can take cues from our kids, from our bodies, what's going on, and start taking care of it right at the symptom, right when we feel it or see it, that is going to be your best tool to be able to move through these seasons where you're not in bed for days or end up having to go to the doctor. So this is just very and I'll give you a couple of ideas. You probably know when you're starting to get sick, like tickle in the throat, sneezing, coughing. But for kids, it might be a little bit more difficult. I tend to look for the red cheeks, the really red cheeks, any first sign of sniffling or drainage in the nose. Just that is my cue clue to I need to start oiling up on purpose. We've passed the preventative stage of just applying thieves before we go to Target. So we're on the opposite side of, okay, we need to start getting on top of this now before it gets even more out of control. So I'm going to tell you, again, you do what you do and what you feel comfortable with. I know for us, and my experience for a very, very long time, is once somebody does start not to feeling great or starting to get kind of sick, we're starting to use oils every hour. We're going through our routine every hour, every 2 hours, and we just kind of keep it up. We start taking, so let's go into some of these things. So we just said thieves. Orange and lemon are really, really great. I love to diffuse them and start drinking in our water more frequently if we're not currently doing that. And that's just to help with the alkaline level, our acidity level in our body. Frankincense is another great one that I always make sure that I have. Digize, of course, I like to have a couple of bottles of Digize because that is our main tummy oil. So if anybody starts the, vomiting or anything like that, that is our number one oil. So we like to have a couple of bottles of those. Copaiba is a great one. That's one we like to layer on the spine after a raindrop or after peppermint on the spine, dealing with fevers and things like that. So then also lavender. So when we're transitioning, it's just now September. We're going to start transitioning into the weather changes. So if you know anything about the lavender, lemon, and peppermint capsule, you can look at those probably in any group you're in. And just if you have problems or issues with those seasonal changes, this is something that you're going to really want to make sure that you have. For kids, I have two that are really sensitive. This is like when I start checking the pollen count and just kind of taking my cues from all these different areas of where I know that we typically may have some body burden. So we'll do a little bit of lavender on the inside of the cheek before we go outside, or diffusing it. So your lavender, lemon, and peppermint capsules are phenomenal for those who can take capsules. So again, we're heading into that season, so you're going to make sure, because our typical used to, and we have had times when it's happened again, because I haven't been on top of things, is if you're not going to do it on the prevention side, then you're going to be dealing with it on the medication side. And typically that looks like, for us, has been all of it, like the Singulair, the Nasonex, the Benadryl, especially here in Oklahoma when we have such intense allergies. So then some other things. Peppermint RC purification. I don't know if you guys have seen the promo for September. Young Living's been really great at really tailoring our Essential Reward freebies to like the season and what they think that we might need. So I know Raven is free this month, and that is an amazing oil to have. Multi-greens, the Inner Defense, just really, really good. Let's see, lemongrass. Then eucalyptus is another one that I always make sure I have. Melrose is one that a lot of people don't order. And I wish that I could like say something just that would make everybody get it, because it's, if you, and granted, you guys know about the compliance. If you look at some of these oils, and we know that during the fall season, we deal with things that are viral and things that are, bacterial. Where am I? Melrose is a blend. Sorry. Melrose. Okay. So it's good for cuts and scrapes and burns and, topical skin related issues. But it's also really great for diffusing. It's one of our number one oils for anything having to deal with the ears. And like right now, my husband's really dealing with some sinus and upper respiratory stuff. So we do a lot of Melrose around the ears. It helps with the, draining and things like that. So Melrose is a really good thing to have during the fall and winter season. Laurus nobilis. So that is another one that is also amazing. And again, it's one of those ones that I can't really flat out tell you because it's like non-compliant. Like you can even tell it in me. Like I've been doing cedar wood and all the stuff around my nose. And anyway, so Laurus Nobilis is another really great one to have. MU Power is another one. So again, these are just, yes, some of these oils work for the same type of thing, like RC and Raven, Copaiba, lavender. But if you kind of have, I understand if you can only do a couple, totally fine, obviously, but just having a variety, because sometimes what works best for one person isn't necessarily the best oil for another person. Like, I have kids who respond really, really well to RC. It's the best respiratory oil for them, but I have others that really respond great to one of the eucalyptus. So we get Eucalyptus globulus a lot. Or the kids really like Dorado, or the littles, my little two prefer Dorado Azul. So it's kind of nice to have, when you can, order one or two that's different so that you can expand that territory. MU Power is phenomenal. That's one that goes on the bottom of the feet. It's pretty stinky, but it's very, very, very helpful. Okay, our raindrop kit. This is the thing that I think, after thinking long and hard about it, when people ask, what do I need to get after I have my kit? My sign-up enrollment kit, I think it should be the raindrop. And that's just simply to, if people knew how phenomenal this treatment was and these oils were, I think everybody would have it in their home. So, and you don't necessarily have to go, have to be trained, have to apply the oils in the massage technique. I know some of the best times that I have used it, especially with the kids, is just taking the oils and layering them. So there's a specific order that they go in. I have all my bottles labeled with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just putting a couple of drops up the spine, feathering it up the spine, and then, putting a heating pad on, or just, wrapping them to get them comfortable. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole raindrop massage. Having the oils in general are very, very helpful. And even layering them just on the bottom of the feet is helpful as well. So again, some other things that are great to have are Thieves lozenges, and the mouthwash is phenomenal to have too. And I have just recently put it in a spray bottle because we like to use that as a throat spray too. And it does have the colloidal silver in there as well in the mouthwash. Let's see, Thieves hand sanitizer is another good one, and we all got those cute little animal hand sanitizer things to go on your backpack and your purse. Let's see, Thieves spray, Thieves cleaner, all those types of things to have on hand. Okay, supplements. So those are my top oils that I make sure that if I don't have them now, currently, I am ordering them on my September ER or definitely my October one. Because again, we got to hit it hard, especially when we see the symptoms starting to come out. So supplements, Inner Defense. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We start taking that immediately at the sign of any, especially the older kids and myself who can swallow capsules. Life 5 is really, really important to start if you're not taking your probiotic now. And then the Kids Mighty Pro. that tastes like a pixie stick that I have to hide it because otherwise they will eat the entire bag whenever I get it. And then Super C is another great one to have. And then we just have spent a lot of time this summer outside because we have a neighborhood pool. And I know that like today it closed. Today was the last day. That I'm going to have to start upping my vitamin D because we're not going to be outside as often. I'm one of those people that I'm really sensitive like to not being in the sun, kind of getting in that winter funk mood. So vitamin D is very helpful for me and for your immune system. So Ningxia Red is another one that is really, really good. If you're not taking that daily, you need to start taking that daily. And then just diffusing. Like, this is when your diffuser needs to kind of be running all the time. And if it's, I know I do it a lot because we're home all the time. I do diffuse a lot. So, making sure you're putting those cleaning the air oils in there and those antiviral type oils in there. Okay, this is another trick that we like to do. Some of you who have been using oils have heard me or Krista talk about it, but the nose swipe. So if you have the new formula of Animal Sense, all you need to do is just scoop some out, put it in a little bowl, then add your drops of whatever oils you're going to add in there. I like to add Egyptian gold in with there, and then that will soften it up a little bit. And then you put it in like a little lip gloss container or whatever little tub with a lid. And so everybody kind of gets a swipe of the Animal Sense on their nose. And what that does is it will help with a couple of things. It will help with if there's any type of pollen that's floating around. It helps that to stick to that instead of, going in your nose when you're inhaling. It helps a lot with airborne pathogens, all those types of things. So we like to do that, especially when we start hearing of people getting, the flu and all of that type of ick. So car diffuser is another really good thing to have if you don't already have one. I like a couple from several different places. I have had the Orb, the Young Living Orb, twice. So there's lots of different places that you can get them. So car diffusing, let's see. Okay, when a family member appears to need an extra special immune boost, you need to start, that's when it's like you need to hit it hard. So 6 to 8 drops per application for a large body, 1 to 3 drops for a small child, 0.5 for an infant. So, and that's just whatever. If some of you have been using oils for long enough, you know, but that's kind of a safety spot, especially if you're first starting. So it's frequency, so applying often, and use enough oil often enough for long enough. So 3 to 12 drops every 10 minutes for 2 to 4 hours. If you guys follow Dr. Minky, he said one of the things with doing this, the frequency or like how often you do it and how much you use it and how often enough and long enough. He has said that not doing this is the number one reason for oily failure. So a lot of times, especially when we first start, it can be like, oh, I'm just going to use a drop here or a drop there. That's not how we use oils when somebody starts getting sick. So, and then we get in that cycle of, oh, it's not working. So it's the frequency, the intensity, and the duration. Use enough oil, often enough, for long enough. So every 10 minutes, 2 to 4 hours. keep doing it. So that is that. And then there was the other tips I wanted to go over. So that's my list of things, again, that if I don't have now, I will be ordering. And then, alkaline was another thing that I forgot to mention. When, I know some of you, I can see who's on here, so I know most of you know this. When our body is more alkaline, illnesses have a more difficult time of hanging out in our body. So that's another thing that we'll start taking more often is our alkaline. So when illness strikes your home, try things like increasing your Ninja Red dose per day. Also, sulfurzyme is another great thing to have around. So increasing our sulfurzyme, multigreens also increasing, which that is another thing that's free this month, and I'm super excited about that. So for sinuses, RC, peppermint, Raven, Panaway is even really good. I like to apply Raccoon around my eyes like this. Also, if you've ever heard of the VitaFlex technique, which you learn when you are learning the raindrop, but you can YouTube this as well, but it's just a light massage, and what you do is you just go from the pad of your finger, pad, tip, nail, tip, pad, tip, nail, tip. So it's just a little flicking. And so what I'll do is when there are specific areas that I can touch, I like to VitaFlex. So I'll put my cedarwood on, my RC on, and just kind of VitaFlex around my sinuses. Also applying some oils down the ears too to help drain. And then I know some people who deal with sinuses, it's like their teeth hurt. So, rubbing some of those oils around on your gums too can be helpful. So our colds and our wintertime 3-letter word. A lot of RC and Thieves and Raven, diffusing those, applying those oils on the bottoms of the feet, the spine, and the chest. Best results are often found by rotating oils at each application. So like if you were to look up the 3-letter word that starts with an F that you get in the winter, and you have those oils, so you can rotate those oils on, and then even rotating where you're putting them on, chest, feet, spine. But again, going back to what Dr. Miki likes to say, every 10 minutes, 2 to 4 for the first 2 to 4 hours. And then assess, and if it's not better, then you need to continue. Coughing, lots of congestion, diffusing, RC, Raven, adding peppermint to any of the respiratory blends is also really helpful in the diffuser. Again, rotating. Thieves tea is a really good thing. Putting some honey, warm honey water with a couple of drops of Thieves in your tea. And then also lemon. Lemon is a really great decongestant too. So adding that into your tea. Digize, also applied to the upper back. I know that's a trick, maybe not some of you have heard of, but RC and Digize, right on the top of the back, like above the lung area, is really great at helping to relieve chest congestion. Okay, so if we're dealing with the issue that causes us to get warm and not feel so great, I do a couple of things. I have some kids that don't like peppermint on the spine, just because they don't like that cold feeling. So I'll do I'll try a couple of different things, but my favorite thing is using peppermint or doing a small little mini raindrop on the back, and then putting the heating pad on. I am a firm believer in letting the fever do its work, but again, just you assess your situation and do what you think is best for you and your family. Also, another really great one is lavender on the bottom of the feet. So, yeah, that's a really good one, especially for littles. Oh, there was one more thing. Oh, this was it. When you're doing your thieves' tea, fill the teacup put the oils in the cup first, and then your honey, and then put the water in. So put your oils in the bottom, drip them in the bottom of the cup, then put your honey in on top of the oil, and then add your hot water. So I know a lot of people probably still use the microwave, and so they'll warm up their water and then they'll add their oils in there and they'll add the honey. But if you do it in that other order of adding the oils first and then your honey and then the water, it helps the oils to mix better, so it's not just setting on the top, like making a top film on your cup, and then you take a drink and your mouth is all cinnamony and on fire and you look like you had a lip plump because the cinnamon. Anyway, that's just my tip. Okay, we are at 8:30. Does anybody have any specific questions? I just wanted to make sure that I got this out to you all so that you could get these things ordered. It's always funny when you're doing a live, because you, like, for me, I make jokes. It's one of the things I do, and so there's like this forever delay where you're like, okay, nobody really laughed at that. That was a dead one. And then you'll get the ha 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 and the smiley faces. So it was funny. Okay. Yes, check your stock. Check your stock. Because we don't want to be without these, because it is, I have a feeling that it might be kind of brutal this winter, unfortunately. All right, you guys, if you're watching this later or even now and you have other questions or anything like that, just comment in the comment section and I will get back to you guys tomorrow. And I hope you have an amazing evening and restful sleep. And I will see you later.